Sugar Bunny!
Hey there, Sugar Bunnies! Today we're going to be doing an LOL custom doll where I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. Today's custom is inspired by YouTuber Tiffany Herrera, also known as Cupquake, and her YouTube channel is iHasCupquake. The link is down below for that channel, but have a look at all her channels while you're there. For this custom, I'll be using Liquitex acrylic paint. I'll explain why later, but you can always use regular acrylic paint or nail polish if you need to. Just match the colors up the best you can. I'll also be using glitter, I just haven't decided what color yet. And other acrylic paints and nail polishes. Just depends on what I decide to do. I'll be using these colors for her face, just depending on what works best is what I'll use. You'll also need rubber bands, Q-tips, toothpicks, and tweezers, paper towels and wax paper, tape, nail polish remover, and cooking spray or vegetable oil of some kind, a hot glue gun and glue sticks. I used a high temp glue gun for this project, a wood burning tool. This is actually optional as I'll only be using it to add texture to her hair, air dry clay, paint brushes of course, ice water. This is also optional. LOL accessories. I've got shorts, a shirt, and a kitty headband. You won't be ruining these by painting them, but instead I'll be showing you how to make your own. And of course your LOL doll. For this project I'll be using Burr Baby, but you can use Super Baby, Majorette, Shorty, Hops, or Fanime. And Fanime would actually work really nice because she already has brown eyes and hearts on her cheeks, like I'll be adding to mine. The reason I'm using these dolls is because of the hairstyle that they have, so that's important. In this custom, you will not be cutting your doll's hair off, so please do not cut it. So the first thing we're going to need to do is remove the head carefully from the body. Next, we're going to need our paper towels. Tear a piece about 3 pieces wide. Fold all the pieces together, and then fold it one more time down the length. Lay it on its side, and go ahead and roll it up. Until you have a nice little roll. Next, get your doll's head and test to see that the roll is about the same size around as your doll's head. Then get a rubber band and go ahead and band it. Next, tear a piece of wax paper about 12 inches long. Take the doll's head and paper towel roll and place it in the center of the wax paper, and then fold the other half of the wax paper over it. While holding the doll's head and paper towel roll in place with the wax paper over it, go ahead and smooth down the wax paper over the top of the head and roll. Try to get as many creases and wrinkles out as possible. The smoother you can make this, the better your hair will turn out, and be sure not to make any holes in the wax paper while you're doing this. Once you're satisfied, go ahead and put rubber bands around it, down lower than where you're going to be placing the hair. Now we're going to be adding tape around it to take out some of those creases and wrinkles and help make it smoother. Use pieces of tape long enough to wrap completely around. Place the tape on and hold it with your finger while you wrap it around, as it will not stick to the wax paper by itself. Repeat this process a few more times down the paper towel. Next, we'll just need one sheet of paper towel. Fold it in half. Put the oil on the paper towel and apply a coat of it on the top and sides of the wax paper and tape above the rubber band. Next, we're going to be using the hot glue gun, so make sure you have an adult's help or permission before you start this part. So I'm going to start by making the part that's in her hair off to the side, on my doll's hair off to the side. Her hair is across half of her face, including half of her nose and her mouth, so I'll do the same to my doll. I'll stop when I get to the length I want, but I can also fix it later if I mess up. Starting at the back of the partner hair, I'm going to go down to match the length in the back to the same length that I have in the front. Now I'm going to connect the front and back along the bottom edge. Starting at the partner hair, I'm going to go in rows from the top to the bottom until I have that side completely filled in. Her hair swoops down and back on this side, so I'll be doing that to my doll. This also covers up my doll's hair underneath. Starting at the part in the front, swoop down over the doll's existing hair and connect to the bottom of the hair in the back. Now go in rows from the top to the bottom until you have that area completely filled in. Take the time now to look for any holes or gaps in your hair and fill them in with your hot glue gun. Time to let the glue cool down, but if you want to speed up the process, you can dip it in cold water to help it go faster. Now that the glue has cooled down, it's time to remove our hair from the head. I'm going to carefully peel away at some of the edges and squish the head in so I can work my fingers under the hair to eventually remove the head from inside. You can now remove the roll from the head as well, and this should help in pulling the head out. Now I just want to show you guys that the doll has not been damaged in any way. There's a little piece missing, but it's right there inside the hair. And here you can see she's fully intact, no damage at all. And here's what our hair looks like so far. I made sure there were no holes or any openings of any kind. Now I'm going to put the head back on the body just so I can try on the hair and see how it looks so far. Line it up right. There we go. Looks great. With the body back off, I'm just going to fix up the bottom of the hair. You can see it's really uneven. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some scissors and be very careful just to cut it the length that we want, while being careful not to cut the hair that is on our doll's actual head. Now I'm going to take the hot metal edge of my glue gun and just smooth out in shape the bottom edge of her hair. And go ahead and do the same to the front openings in her hair. Now I'm just going to take the hot glue gun, starting at the top and making a few strands of wavy hair on the front on each side. The glue is dry, and let's go ahead and see what it looks like on our doll again. So this part is optional, but I'll be using this wood burning tool to add texture to her hair. You can still do your custom and have it look great without it, but for those doing it, this part is for adults only. I'm going to start by working my way along the bottom, just making random little notches. Now, I'm going to make the texture by dragging the tip from the top to the bottom in long and short strokes, making straight and wavy lines to look like strands of hair. I do this until I've covered the entire piece. And you can see the texture right here as I finished, and I think it turned out really, really nice. I'm really satisfied with how this turned out. And here it is again on our doll. Looks really good. So to paint her hair, I'm going to be using this Liquitex acrylic color. I'm going to be using Deep Violet, Cerulean Blue, and Dioxazine Purple, which we'll just call purple from now on. The reason I'm using this Liquitex acrylic color rather than just regular acrylic or even nail polish is because it's permanent, water resistant, and flexible when dry, so I can still use my doll's water feature without the paint cracking, and it can get wet without ruining it. First, I'll be using the Deep Violet. I'm going to paint a layer on the inside of the hair where it will still be exposed when the doll's head and body are on. Now that it's dry, I just want to test and make sure that I've covered all the areas needed. I'll be painting the outside next, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the undertone in her hair of the blue color. Cerulean blue. Paint a blue strip along the whole center of the hair. Now that the blue's dry, we're just going to go ahead and paint the top part of her head. We'll use the purple for this. Next, I'm just going to blend a little bit of the purple over the blue. Now I'm going to be painting around the bottom part of her hair. For this, I'm using the deep violet. I went ahead and painted another layer on the inside just so it was a little less see-through. Now I'm just going to go ahead and blend that color up onto the blue as well. And here's the base of our hair color. For the top color coat of our hair, I'm just going to add a little bit of white to each of our colors to lighten them up a bit. Remember that your paints dry darker than they appear when they're wet, so make your color lighter than you want it. We're going to start with a blue undertone across the middle again. And when that's almost dry, we're going to go ahead and paint the purple on the top. Now blend the purple down onto the blue, but leave some blue showing through. Now paint the bottom edge of her hair. Blend that up into the blue, leaving some blue exposed as well. And here's our finished hairpiece. You can see the light purple on the bottom blending into the blue, and the purple on the top also blending into the blue, and the blue undertone shining through. I'm really happy with how the detail and the texture of the hair turned out. It looks pretty realistic. Next, we'll be making some clothes, and for that, we'll need air-dry clay. I'll be using a short sleeve top and bottom. The ones I'm using are from out of the big ball, but you can use any that you have. I'm going to start with the shirt first. Take a piece of clay and squish it until the shirt can fit over the top of it. Then, put it on and push it down. Work the clay into the shirt so that there are no holes or gaps on the inside. You need it completely filled with clay, and it's good if the clay squishes out a little bit too. Bring the backs of the shirt together and smooth down the clay around it. It should look as if the clay is wearing the shirt. Now, carefully peel away the t-shirt from the clay. You should be left with a mold that clearly defines where the armholes, neck hole, and the bottom of the t-shirt is. Next, I'm going to take the back end of a paintbrush and just smooth out the clay, especially around the areas where the openings are. Now I'm going to take my hot glue gun and fill in where my t-shirt was, making sure the glue gets to the edges around where the openings are. And don't worry about the cut in the back. Just fill that in and we'll cut that out later. Make sure to check for any holes or gaps and fill those in before calling it done. I started to smooth out my shirt off camera and paint from another project got on it, so that's why it's yellow in some spots. That's okay though, I'm going to be painting it. So again, I used the hot metal on my glue gun to smooth out the rough areas. Smooth out your shirt until you're happy with the texture of it. Now it's time to take it off the clay. Go ahead and just pull off the piece on the bottom and then you can just work out the rest of the clay any way you can. I used the back end of my paintbrush to pull the clay out that I couldn't get with my fingers. I washed the remaining clay off my shirt and now I'm ready to touch it up. There's a little bit of extra glue on the bottom of my shirt, so I'm just going to cut that off with scissors. I've got my tweezers and I'm just going to use them to hold my shirt in place while I use my hot glue gun to smooth out the bottom edge of my shirt. Now that I'm satisfied with the bottom edge of my shirt, I'm just going to use the real LO shirt and compare sizes. Looks good. Now, I'm just going to use my tweezers to hold my shirt again, so that I can use my hot glue gun and fix around the edges of the armholes, and then around the neckline, just so it looks more smooth. Now that our shirt is cleaned up and we've taken off all the strings, we're just going to make the little cut in the back, right in the middle. There we go. Just like the real one. Let's try the shirt on our doll and make sure it fits. Works just like the real one. Time to paint it. I'm going to use a white nail polish for a base coat. I'll use tweezers to hold it while I paint so I don't get paint on my fingers. I'm going to apply 2 white coats of nail polish. My base coats are dry, so now I'm going to paint my shirt. I've chosen this pretty pink nail polish. I'm using my tweezers again to help me hold it while I paint it. A little trick I use for drying is when I'm using tweezers to hold something, I'll use a clip to pinch them together and then stick the end of the tweezers in clay while it dries. Our shirt is dry. I'm just going to add on a little heart with this purple polish now. I'm using a toothpick to carefully put the detail of the heart on. Our heart is on and our shirt is done and it looks fantastic! Next, we're going to make our shorts. Using clay, we're going to do the same thing we did with our shirt and fill our shorts with clay, letting it smush out the leg holes, smoothing out the clay around it, and leaving a piece of clay for us to hold on to. I carefully removed my shorts from the clay and smoothed it out. You can see the leg holes on the top of the shorts are clearly defined. I'm ready for my hot glue gun. Again, I'm going to do the same thing I did with my shirt and just fill in where my shorts were, making sure to get right up along the edges of where the openings were. Make sure to check for any holes or gaps and fill those in before you call it done. I smoothed out my shorts with the edge of my glue gun and I'm ready to take it off the clay. I found that if you smush your shorts back and forth, the clay kind of just loosens up and then you can pop it right out. I've washed off my shorts and gotten all the clay off, and now I'm just comparing the size of mine to the real ones. They're a little bit tall, so I'm going to need to cut some off. Remember, just cut off a little bit at a time because it's always easier to cut off a little bit more than to put some back on. Now I'm just going to compare mine to the real ones again, and they're pretty close. I've got my tweezers and I'm going to use them to hold my shorts while I use the edge of my hot glue gun to smooth out my shorts. I'm satisfied with how smooth I got the edge of my shorts, but I'm going to check the height one more time. And it's good, so I'm just going to go ahead and check the leg holes now. It's a little bit wide in the center there, so I'm going to use my tweezers to hold my shorts again while I use the hot glue gun to go ahead and smooth out the edges of the leg holes, as well as make that center part more narrow. Time to compare them. They look good, so let's go ahead and try them on our doll now and make sure that they fit. They look like they'll do the job. Time to paint them with a white base coat of nail polish. Using my tweezers to hold my shorts, I'll paint on 2 base coats of white. My shorts are dry, and I'm ready to paint them a color. I've chosen this pretty blue nail polish. My shorts are dry and I really like the color that I chose. It's very pretty. Now I'm going to show you how to make her accessory, and since Cupquake loves cats, I've chosen a cat headband. You'll need a piece of clay for this. I'm going to take the clay and smash it down until it's wide enough around for our headband to fit into, and leave it thick enough to press our headband in without it going through to the table. Now I'm going to take my headband and just place it face side down onto the clay, and then press it in until the back of the headband is level with the top of the clay. Now I'm just going to use my tweezers to carefully pull my headband out of the clay. There we go! Using the back edge of my tweezers as a support and form for my mold, I'm going to fill in the part of the headband that normally holds it in place on the doll's head. We won't be needing it. Do this to both sides. You can also use the back side of the tweezers or the back end of a paintbrush to smooth out and make wider the sides of your headband. Time for the hot glue. Now, it's really important that you get the glue to the bottom of your mold in the narrow channels and to completely fill them in as well. Our glue is dry, and now it's time to take our headband out of our mold. Carefully peel it away. And there it is! I've washed off my headband, and now I need to clean off the edges. I'm just going to take the scissors and trim this little piece off right here. To clean up the rest of my headband, I'm going to use the side of my hot glue gun to smooth down and even out the edges until I'm happy with how it looks. I'll do this to the rest of the headband. Now that I'm satisfied how it looks, I'm just going to compare it to the real headband. They both flex to be able to fit around the doll's head. Time to paint it. I'll be using pink acrylic paint for my headband. Apply a few coats, letting it dry between each coat. Here's my dried headband after a few coats have been applied. Now I'm going to seal in my paint by applying a layer of clear nail polish. And here's what it looks like completely coated in the clear. I decided to add these Swarovski crystals to my headband. I'll be using super glue to attach them. Gel works best. One side's done. I love how pretty and sparkly this is. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and do the same to the other side. So here's our completed headband with all the crystals on it. Look at how they sparkle and shine. I think this turned out so beautifully. Next, I'll be painting the bottle, so make sure you get permission for this. I'll be using this purple nail polish. I was going to just go over the middle and leave the top and bottom part of the bottle white, but as you'll see really soon, I decided to paint the whole thing. So just completely cover your bottle except for the lid. I'm going to be painting a cupcake on the bottle, so I'm going to start by making a light pink. Here I'm painting on the bottom of the cupcake, just like in the picture. Next, the dark pink frosting. Now for the white bit of frosting. Black acrylic paint for the mouth and eyes. I'm going to paint the mouth first in a half circle shape. Next, the eyes. You'll just need a little dot for each one. Now I'm going to take a toothpick and add a little eyelash to each eye. With some dark pink on a toothpick, I'm just going to paint on her little tongue. And now for the gleam in her eye. Just a tiny, tiny little white spot in each of her eyes will do. What does our cupcake need? Sprinkles, of course! I'll be using these colors. A blue one, a yellow one, a green one, a red one, and a white one. Now I'm going to seal in my cupcake's paint with clear polish. Time to decorate the top of our bottle. I've decided that I'm going to be using glitter for this. So I've chosen these three colors. Purple I think we have enough of. Blue I really like, but I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the pink. Coat the top of your bottle with clear polish and make sure to get right along all the edges. Take your bottle and dip the top into your glitter, making sure to completely cover it with glitter. And here's our finished bottle. I have to say, this is one of the cutest things I've ever seen. It's so adorable! So Burr Baby has on these little blue leggings, but I'm going to cupquake them and make them rainbow like her plushie. Remember to ask permission. Before we add on any color, we're going to need to add on a couple base coats of white. With a couple base coats of white on and dried, I'm going to take a pencil and mark where I want my rainbow stripes to be. I'm using 6 colors, so I'll need that many stripes. I finished with one leg. Now I'm going to draw the lines on the other leg to match it. Both legs are done, and you can see that I tried to make the lines on both legs line up as much as possible. I'll be doing my rainbow a little bit different, but I'm going to be starting with red. I'll be using red on the top stripe. Paint both top stripes and allow them to dry. Now that it's dry, we're going to paint our next stripe purple. One leg done and time to paint the other. Now that it's dry, we can paint our next stripe blue. With that leg done, we'll go on to the next one. With those done and dry, we can move on to our next stripe of green. One leg done. Let's do the other. Those are dry and we're going to paint our next stripe yellow. Done and on to the next. final stripe is orange. Almost done! Our stripes are all done, now we just need to wait for them to dry. Now that they're dry, I'm just going to seal it in with a clear coat of polish. One leg is done, and let's go ahead and do the other. Both legs are sealed, and I think they turned out great. The last thing we're going to do is change the face to look more like Cupquake's, but ask permission first. I'm going to start by taking the cute freckles off with some nail polish remover on a Q-tip. The freckles are off, and now we're just going to go ahead and take off her eyebrows. Both eyebrows are off, and now I'm just going to remove the little eyelashes on the sides of her eyes. If you happen to take a little off the eye, don't worry, we're going to be repainting that. And the other side. Now I'm going to touch up and repaint around the whites of her eyes with some white acrylic paint. I'm done with the first one and I'm moving on to the second. Here's both eyes done. I wanted to put her lipstick on, so I'm going to go ahead and try this purple polish and see how it looks. I'm going to apply it with a toothpick. Here's how it turned out. It's a little dark, so I may change the color a little later on. Back to the eyes. Cupquake's eyes are chocolate brown, so we need to paint them. Here's one eye. If you happen to get into the black part, don't worry, we're repainting that too. Before I paint the other eye, I'm going to paint the eyebrow back on with a toothpick and try to shape it the way Cupquake has hers. I gave it my best shot and decided not to paint the other eyebrow because the hair practically covers the whole thing. Time to paint the other eye. Here's both eyes painted. Now I'm just going to paint in the centers with some black paint. One eye done, and now it's time to paint the other. Both eyes are done, and I'm just going to add a little sparkle in her eye. Next, I'm going to be adding some little blush hearts on her cheeks with some pink acrylic paint. I'm putting it on with a toothpick since it's a small detail. So cute! Now I'm going to be adding on her eyeliner with this paint pen. Since she loves cats and a lot of times her eyeliner is in cat eye style, I'll be doing it the same way. One down and one more to go. Makeup's done. Now I'm just going to seal in her eyes and blush with some clear polish. Don't forget to do her eyebrow as well. Her eyes are done, and I did decide to go ahead and change her lip color to this lighter purple. I'm going to apply it the same way as before and just use a toothpick. And here's her finished face. She's absolutely beautiful. Time to put our doll back together. Now let's get her dressed. Shirt first. Now her shorts. And here she is all dressed. Time to put on her hair. Let's put her headband on. And the finishing touch, her little cup. I wonder what she's got in there. Maybe a cupquake shake. And I just want to show you guys that you can remove the headband and the hair, and you have Fur Baby back. Here's my finished Cupquake custom. I wanted to show it to you in a dimmer light because it shows the colors a little bit differently. And here she is in a brighter light with a full 360-degree view. This is my very first custom doll, and when I decided to make my own hair and clothes, I was really nervous on how it would all turn out. But looking at the end result, I'm really happy and so glad I did it. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this custom, and if you make one of your own, I'd love to see it. Please like this video if you haven't yet, and subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when a new video comes out. Also, feel free to comment down below on what custom you'd like to see me do next. See you soon! Become a Sugar Bunny, subscribe, check out my other videos, like, comment, and remember Sugar Bunnies, stay sweet!